Hey everybody, welcome back to Embrace the Cancel. And today I've got an interesting twist on things. We're going to go back to reading from the cancel. Without further ado, let's turn to a random page here and find something that we haven't already read. So, what's the worst case scenario? Practical applications. What happens when you start to come to a place of burnout? Do you just keep going in hopes that it won't have any negative impact on your life or on your physical and mental health? Do you take a break at the risk of having things fall apart in your life and not go according to plan? Do you hesitate indefinitely, hoping that everything will just work itself out? I actually started writing about this recently because now I'm actually writing a faith-based version of the cancel called The Clearing announcement. And one of the things that I started thinking about is there was a guy who I actually had a conversation with not too long ago, right? And he just told me, I don't really believe that anything has any meaning, I believe there might be something else, but it's not what we think it is, but his idea of things was just that, when we die, that's it. There's nothing else. And a lot of people believe that, but he just basically believed, like, if you find yourself in a bad situation, that just sucks. There's no meaning to it. There's no reason that things happen, yada, 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 right? So I kind of just thought to myself, like, well, I guess that's one way to look at things. And there was a philosophy that I think goes along with that. I guess it's like, it gives you solace if you feel like bad things have happened and you don't want to feel like you should have to feel that they have any meaning. And I understand that. But anyway, I digress. So basically, the idea is that if we believe that things have a meaning, right, then we kind of have to hold out hope, right? We have hope, and then we kind of, on one hand, we're doing things to try to make things work in a certain way. And on another hand, maybe, they're not working out that way. And then, you're still holding out hope. So then what do? Do you still hold out hope, or do you believe that your hope was foolish to have in the first place? And I think that's what a lot of people get into, is like a bind where they start to lose faith that things will work out for the best. A big part of the cancel philosophy was actually just live your life. Like, do the things that you believe that are going to work out for the best. Like, you have to trust your own intuition to a certain extent, right? Right now, I'm doing so many different things. Like, I was teaching for the school year. Now I'm doing media digitization. You can see it all around me. Just all kinds of stuff, and I do music. You can see that all around me too. There's a couple of instruments there. I do art. You can see that too, right? This is a really cool space. There's a lot of artists here, actually. There's a whole art community, so that's a neat thing. And as I write, I'm writing. And now I just started to work toward having a situation where I can start to help people with their writing as well, right? It's just a natural, logical step if you're a writer, which I am. So these are the kinds of things that I'm doing in flow. And in a certain sense, I'm doing them in faith, because if I didn't have any faith that things would work out, I wouldn't be doing any of this. I would go find another 9 to 5 and cross my fingers, even if things have gone poorly, right? So that's basically like my take on all of that. Let's see if I can get back to the page we were on here. There was something about worst case scenario. Okay. So if things don't go according to plan, do you hesitate indefinitely, hoping that everything will work itself out? If you're like most people, you keep pushing, even when your body or your mind tells you, or even screams, no, don't do this to us anymore. Yeah, I wrote that. So you just grin and bear it, because that's what everybody does. That's how life is. That's just the way it is, and it's what you have to do. Isn't that right? So that's what people say, right? And they continue on in their misery. They suck it up and maybe show it a little bit here and there, give you a guilt trip. But what will happen, now I'm reading again from the book, what will happen if you do the opposite? Will everything go wrong? Will your life completely fall apart? Will you suddenly find yourself with no job, your bills unpaid, possibly homeless? maybe addicted to drugs, in jail, or even dead. I invite you for a moment to take a look at one of the prominent drivers of human behavior: fear. Ultimately, it is the fear of death that is at the root of every single fear a human being has. You could follow the trail down to the last and worst thing that could happen, and it would always, obviously, be death. Okay, so just think about that for a moment, right? These are the kinds of things that I use to kind of guide myself, because what is the worst that could happen? Well, obviously, death is the worst thing that could happen, right? In any scenario, in any circumstance. If our fear of death is at the root of every fear that we have, is it rational to believe that we can't ever make choices that give our mind and body a break due to the fears that we have? And that's where, and these are literally the words in the book, but what I'm saying is, if the worst thing that could happen is that you die, and yet you're living your life, your survival instinct, that's what causes you to push yourself beyond where you should. Like, that's what causes you to do things that are unhealthy, not get enough rest, and put yourself in a more reactive and worse state, less attentive, the list goes on, right? Things like that, where you actually cause the problems that you're afraid of, because you pushed yourself, because that's what society wants us to do. I watched a video not too long ago. It was actually somebody talking about how they came from China, and they got here and they realized that everybody here doesn't do what they do over there, which is take, I think, like a 2-hour mandatory lunch break, like a break during like a nap time break. Like, they go and they just rest during lunchtime every single day. I think that maybe every single day, I don't know if it's just work days or what, but basically they got here and they realized, oh, we don't do that. So they started to feel all bogged down after they would eat, and they would just feel tired, and it was hard for them to get used to that at first. It was hard for them to adjust. And then the girl, she said that I think she was like, I don't know what Americans usually do. Like, they just drink a cup of coffee, and they drink like 4 cups of coffee and just power on through the afternoon, right? And so that's the thing, right? Like, we're so used to doing that. Like, I love my coffee. I like to exercise a lot. And as I've, gotten a little bit older, it's actually been a thing that I have to do more and more to stay in shape. But also, there's the food choices that we have, that are readily available to us. I try to eat as healthy as I can. But, like, at the end of the day, it's like blessings can be a curse as well. Like, having access to as much food as you want to eat can be a curse to your health, right? And I find myself exercising more, using more caffeine. If I'm working in a highly demanding context, then yes, I'm probably not getting as much sleep. This is just the idea, right? Like, are we living on faith? Do we have enough faith to be able to slow down and to relax, like to be able to take deep breaths, to be able to give ourselves time, to hold boundaries and not just say yes to everybody out of obligation and fear for a relationship ending, a job ending, right? Like, maybe you need to take a day to yourself. Have the courage to risk the fallout that's going to come from doing something like that. Most people don't. That's why most of us stay in the same situation for years on end, and albeit a stable situation probably. Are you happy? That's the question that I would ask you if you're that person, right? I'm happy right now. A lot of things fell into place in a pretty unlikely way, right? That's how I would put it. And that's an understatement, honestly. Like, so many things have come together. It's not because I haven't put any effort out there or tried to reach out to people and line things up, but at the end of the day, there's so much that has actually worked out for me because I was willing to follow some of the advice that I wrote, shameless plug here, in the book. I was willing to risk, not being at the cozy little stable thing, to take a second to breathe, right? And I think that if in our lives, it's only a collection of moments. And if you fail to even give yourself that time or that space for all these years that you're going to be here, however many, right? Then you're going to find that there's going to be things that are still going to they're going to build up. Like, you're not going to have the rest and relaxation and the peace of mind that you're going to have. Maybe hypertension, maybe you're going to have a lot of stress and anxiety. It's going to show in your face. It can turn into health problems. These are things that people don't think about until all the years of their life have gone by, and they're, in their 60s and 70s, and their health problems start coming and accumulating. And the next thing you know, they're 80 plus, 90, whatever. And the next thing you know, they're on their deathbed, and they realize they never really lived. And that's, for me, that's what the cancel's about. It's about, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to actually do things that resonate with me. I'm not going to be afraid to jump out there, to make connections, make decisions, do things that I think are interesting. If there's something, get into things, find my way into things that I can go and do. I found my way into that tribute band. I went looking for that. I didn't look for that exactly, but it was what I ultimately found. And I played some of the biggest shows of my life in that band. I play for bands and things like that. I played with a Latin artist that was a Grammy Academy member. I think also the gospel artist that I played with is a member of the Grammy Academy as well. So there's just all these people that I've had the privilege to get to share the stage with, because I jumped out there and I really put myself out there. Like, I went for it, right? And I'm not like the world's best guitar player or bass player, but I can hold it down, and I've got feel, and people can feel the feel that I bring to the situation, so that works and it resonates with them. Whatever's happening there is flowing and it's working, right? And a lot of that is the whole principle, the idea of flow. Like, if I'm moving in my life conversationally, relationally, just in terms of action, the things I'm doing just autonomously as myself, right? Is it resonating with other people? Are they wanting, to associate with that in some way? If yes, it's probably because I'm moving in flow. If no, it's probably because I'm out of alignment with who I really am. I'm probably miserable. I'm probably stressed. I'm probably reclusive. I'm probably keeping to myself and just avoiding everything because I just feel like I just want to be alone, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Like, sometimes you need your time to just sit and meditate and just kind of come back to center and be who you really are, right? Have that time to just be quiet with yourself. Let things come to you. Let intuitive, insights come to you. Let God speak to you, right? And find out what the path and the direction is for your life. Have a sense of perspective, right? So a lot of times that comes in your time alone. And honestly, there has been a lot of time alone leading up to this. Directly after I went back into my modular lifestyle, which I did talk about in the cancel, I spent a lot of time alone, and I was kind of down, a little bit depressed, but at the end of it all, I emerged from that like a butterfly from a cocoon. That sounds so cheesy right now. And I just I figured it out again. Like, I knew what I wanted to do. I came up with a tutoring thing. The ads are literally out there already. It's called Stronger Writers Academy. And there's going to be people that I'm going to tutor through that. And I'm going to teach them better writing. And you know what? That's going to contribute to the world in a meaningful way. I have some other ideas. There's a program that I'm going to be putting together called True North. And that's going to be about finding our purpose and direction and being bold enough to actually just go for it, right? And there's some things that I want to put in there also, just about like communicating and having an edge. I look at it like this, right? How about the outlaw's guide to being an outlaw, to being an outlier? Because an outlier, according to Malcolm Gladwell, right, is 10,000 hours put into whatever the craft is going to give you that edge. But you know what? It might not. What about without the 10,000 hours, right? What about learning ways to communicate that actually connect and get you indoors? There's another book that comes to mind when I think of this, called The Third Door. And I think I listened to the audiobook of that one. And listened to some people review it and stuff, and it was actually a really good book. It was about this guy who figured out a way to kind of like crash the prices right, and he ended up winning it. And then he went on from there to doing other things, and he had like celebrity mentors, and he was just very successful. But it was all about kind of just going for it. Like, see if you see a way to get into something, to find your way to make it in some way. You are strategic about it. You take steps, but you definitely go for openings. Another thing that comes to mind is a boss that I used to have. He said when I was a kid in high school, they had this saying, the coach had this saying, if you get an opening, drive a truck through it. That's the third door. If you get an opening, why are you going to sit and hesitate? Because you might fail? Guess what? You're going to fail along the course of your life from now until kingdom come. Like, yeah, you might have a relatively stable situation and things might go pretty well. Like, and you might look back and be like, yeah, it was all right. But if you want more, if there's something that you want out of your life and you're not getting it and you're not even going for it, well, I got news for you. There are opportunities. There are opportunities all around you. Things that happen, things that show themselves, things that open up, people that avail themselves to you, things that you could do, that you might want to do, that you're interested in, that you see an opportunity for. Are you going to shrug that off because you're like, oh, well, I don't really have the time? Do it. Just go and do it. But it's easier said than done, but not really. I mean, are you in control of whether you click on a course or a class or something that you're interested in, or go to an event that you think is kind of cool that you're too nervous or shy to go to, or you think you don't have the time for? You're in control. So if you want to, I'm giving you permission today. Go for it. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. The true north is going to be another thing, because I've realized, like I've been putting these meditations for teachers. I've been putting meditations just for calm and centering for normal people, like for everyone. Like teachers aren't normal people, right? Not really though. You have to be a little bit crazy to want to do that. But yeah, like meditations for teachers, teacher burnout meditations and stuff like that. Meditations just for finding center for anyone in any situation, right? But then the question is, I'm trying to relate to people on the basis of being a teacher in that sense. Like I'm talking about students who struggle with writing. Those videos, those shorts are actually doing really well on my channel. But now I want to create something for you guys besides just my books that you can read and be like, oh, that's interesting. Those are useful, but I want to make a program, something that you can follow to use the kind of hacks, to use the kinds of hacks that I use. Maybe it doesn't look too appetizing. Maybe it looks stupid to you. I don't know. I don't care. But at the end of the day, if you want to break free from the monotony and still be okay, because listen, there's been so many ups and downs. There's been so many things that have happened, but I've still managed to create like the flexibility, like the ability to breathe. I have the ability to breathe and the flexibility in my life because I have not given up. Come hell or high water. I have had faith and I keep on moving. I don't sit still. I'm not a sitting duck. I always keep it moving. I keep going. If something doesn't resonate with me, I move on from it. I mourn the loss and I find what does. And I continue, even if it's imperfect. And all this time has gone by and that's where I am. And at the end of the day, I can tell you, even though I don't necessarily know how everything is going to work out in my life, I know that I will find a way. I'm finding a lot right now that is helping me to see a way forward. And it's coming from within. It's coming from within. So that's what I want to make. True North is like, it's like having that guiding star, right? But it's like, it's internal. It's trusting your intuition, but it's also, you're having faith that what's out there, where you're moving toward, is the right place, right? As long as your heart is in the right place and and you can get a vision for what you want, and you take steps. Like right now, my vision is I need to come out ahead enough so that things that I once thought were going to carry me don't need to. Okay? That's the tallest order. If I could describe that in monetary terms to you right now, it would sound so horrific that you would wonder what the heck you're listening to me for. But I can tell you this much, that all I do is I look and I say, whatever it is this is how much is needed, right? Let's find something that can accomplish that. And that's what I'm going for. I'm going for all hands on deck, like metaphorically speaking, because I've only got two, but like making every little every little ounce of what I've got, creativity wise, ingenuity wise, knowledge to share with others wise, everything, like making it all count. So maybe there will be some value in that for you. I hope so. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. Does this sound like a disorganized video? Do I sound like a crazy person that's just all over the place? Let me know. All right. Cheers.